Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis, updated commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. I'll interject my financial opinions as we go. And if you need help with anything, check out finding-value.com. That is where I share how I'm playing this commodity bull market, sharing my portfolio, my purchasing points, all that stuff. I have a question and answer session on the weekends and a midweek update that I just released today that everyone can view if you're part of the website. May Day coupon code is still active for those that want to join. All right, so let's dive in here. Let's take a look, see what is going on today, and I'll share my opinions. Starting with the dollar, we have a weak dollar today, down about 0.36%, and we are playing with that bottom support level. If we get lower in the dollar here, which we'll see if it breaks, that's a tailwind behind our commodities. It's a tailwind behind things that are priced in dollars. And emerging markets should do very well if we see that conclusion to the downside. Precious metals will also be big benefactors of the dollar going down. And usually what drives that dollar going down are yields. So looking at the 2-year yield, we are seeing further downside in yields here. The 2-year is front running what the Fed will do probably later this year. So it's pulling on down and it is heading lower. We're at 4.278%. We've broken out of some support. There's the support level that we've broken out and we've been heading lower. We're down quite a bit today and that looks like it will continue. The momentum is to the downside. 10-year yields also heading lower, down 2% just today. Big downward move, and that's starting to create a gap where we were using support, and we've broken this support level here to the downside, signaling that we could see further downside in yields, 2-year and the 10-year. And 30-year also following suit with the rest, so the whole curve is falling, and the short end of the curve falling a little bit more than the 30-year long end of the curve. TYX TNX ratio, this is a ratio I look for that is directly related to gold. We have a breakout here of this downtrend to the upside, and when this goes up, this uninversion of the yield curve, where the 10-year falls more than the 30-year, that's what I'm using it for, this ratio goes up and it correlates with gold prices going up. So that looks really good for gold to continue higher with time. Bond prices are up 1%, and this is a big deal because we are starting to break out of this downtrend line. You can see we are breaking to the upside, and that's exactly what I thought. Well, it's not exactly. I had an idea with the 2-year breaking downward that the 20-year is probably going to break upward. What does this mean? It means that people are, or the government is manipulating, whatever it is, but someone is buying bonds and they're going into the bond market, buying them up, where bond prices are going up and yields are going down. Could that be the beginning of a potential slowdown that we would see later on? It very well could be. We should all be looking at this type of information and use it to make decisions to maybe overweight or do things in the portfolio that might be different when this is falling from its top here. We've got the 2 and 10, and that is still inverted. There is no real update here. The momentum is still down, and we'll see if we get an uninversion of the yield curve to the downside where we start to break through that 1% level that a lot of people watch. Looking at gold, gold's up quite substantially today. That came from weakening dollar and weakening yields, in my opinion. And gold basically bottomed in 2022 here. It front ran, so it front runs the uninversion of the yield curve because it was already inverted a lot. Now it's going to keep going up because of the reality coming out with weaker dollar, weaker yields, and a potential slowdown, the safe haven metal. It's doing exactly what it's always done. So we're at almost 2,500 bucks. It's looking pretty good. Silver up 2%. I would be getting very bullish on silver. Gold is breaking to new all-time highs here. Silver's going to rip. That would be my opinion. It is in alignment, broken out of everything, and it's ready to go. Are you ready to go for that to occur? Platinum up 1.6%. We are still underneath that resistance level. With the dollar dropping, I do think this is going to hit. It's going to break out. Now, do I think platinum is going to outperform silver here? In the short term, I don't know. Because if there is a slowdown in the market, that's when rates go down, which we're seeing, and the dollar goes down, and gold and silver are the fear safe haven assets. Platinum might still go up, but it might lag behind it for a little bit. And then when that kind of passes by, I think platinum could have a good time of just ripping during a market condition that's directly after a slowdown. Palladium up $4. This is probably sensitive to that war information, just like oil is. Big bullish engulfing. It does look good to go higher, and we're right on support. Not a bad spot to be looking, but I do have my doubts that palladium is going to outperform platinum in the longer term. Unless there's a longer term war or something, maybe. GDX up 2.65%, looking pretty good. GDXJ and SILJ. They're all the same, roughly the same chart. So looking at GDX, the big boys, we've broken out of this resistance line going across there. We've got a double bottom, the breakout, the retest, all through there. Those are all good buy points. And here we are working our way on up. Looks fantastic. And yes, there are some resistance levels going across horizontally, but for the most part, it looks really good. Across the board for the platinum, or for the precious metals mining companies. XAU to gold, we're seeing an outperformance of the gold and silver mining companies today, about 1% outperformance. And I do think on a longer term basis that this will absolutely do very well. So it's positioned well, it's based out, it's coming from a cheap area or location. It looks fantastic, guys. Crude oil up almost 5%. Wow, that's a big move. We were coming down, momentum's down, and some people are saying it's because of geopolitical tensions. It could be. All I'll say is I'll continue to watch it. We had some inventory draws that also helped it. We'll see if we can break out of this pattern here to the upside. Everything's in alignment for this to potentially break, and it can go in either direction, guys. If we get a slowdown and rates continue to go lower, I could see it pull back. Or if there's geopolitical tensions or whatever in the short term, yeah, we could break forward and out of this thing. So keep an open mind. We'll continue to watch it, and that's where I'm going to leave it. TTF gas up a little bit, still looking real good for the move higher. Unfortunately, in the United States, we're down 3.8% natural gas, so we're still basing out above support at this time. Our boy XOP, yeah, you know me, it is up a little, about 0.8%. Not a huge move given that oil was up 5%, but it's been holding on. So we're right at this, what I consider to be neckline of this shoulder head shoulder that I would really like to see break out here. If we do get a clear break and oil starts to break out of its pattern, I do think this will run. Same with OIH. We're up 1.83%. Pretty good day for OIH, and everything's set up quite well for a move higher. Newcastle coal up 1.3% as expected here. I said sideways to higher is what I would expect, and it's coming up a little bit. So I think coal looks really good. Real good entry point. We've got Sprott Physical Uranium Trust up 4.6%. It does have a little wick at the top, but it is a little bit better here than before. It's not a clean looking chart. You could also maybe say that this is get some support or resistance down there as this thing is going through this channel, perhaps. We'll see where it goes. That's where I'll leave it. It's not a clear pattern here for the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. It's not like we're just going to rip. I mean, it could, but we're just coming down in this channel so far. URA is up quite a bit. We're still underneath this resistance. And we'll see if this is a return move and if we roll back over. It could. Same with URNM and same with URNJ. It's all the same. And we'll see if we come up here, tag it, and roll over, or if we bust on through. So it looks like we could come up there and try to tag it. Copper up quite a bit. Nice big move today, 2.6%. We do have a gaggle of support underneath us. So things are looking pretty good for copper. And I think the lowering of interest rates and the dollar and all of those things are supportive of sideways to higher copper prices here. A little bit of a base or a potential move higher. COPX also following suit, up 4.2%. I like that COPX is trading with leverage to the underlying commodity. I always look for that. But nice big bullish engulfing on the weekly there. Looks pretty strong if we can end the week pretty strong. Iron ore up 1.5%. You can see the big wick at the bottom on the weekly. It does look like it's trying to bottom off support, and I bet you will come on up. So it looks good. Aluminum also looking good. These are all resultant of weaker dollar, weaker yields, and people probably thinking that the economy would heal under a little bit lower interest rate if it were to come. But it was up today, a good chunk, 3.37% right on support. Nickel down 0.5%, still heading lower. I would not get in front of that train. Just let it ease and disperse that momentum it's got. Moving sideways, but still at a very good location, right at above support resistance. So it still looks really good, and I think this will head higher with time. Emerging markets loves the weaker dollar, weaker yields, up 2.19%. Looking all right, and I do think this will work its way on up if those conditions remain consistent with weaker dollar, weaker yields. KRE, surprised it was down a little bit today, but it still looks pretty good, and it's got a lot of momentum to the upside. We could see a consolidation or slightly lower move in the short term with this bearish engulfing there. TAN up, weaker dollar, weaker yields, lithium up, and REMX up, which are all roughly the same trade. Momentum is still down on all these, though. They have not put in sufficient bases. They continue to make lower lows. So we got to see some green armies show up for me to get really, really bullish on it. Baltic Tri-Index down. We're right at support. And that's where we're at there. XHB moving sideways. Surprised us didn't go up with weaker yields, but we've had a monster move in the short term, and sometimes it needs to consolidate those monster moves. Russell up a little bit. Does look kind of weird there, almost like it's a increasing wedge where we could maybe do a retest or something out of this. S&P 500 up 1.5%. Momentum is still down, guys. I would not jump on this. That's just me. NASDAQ up 2.6%. Momentum is still lower. We'll see if this can reverse it on up and go further into the wedge, or if we get a breakdown. Don't know yet, and we'll have to wait and see. SMCI also getting a bounce today, 5.3%, but to me, still looks bad. Momentum to the downside, no reversal candlestick, still looks under pressure. NVIDIA up quite a bit today. Is this a one-time wonder here? We'll see tomorrow. Bearish engulfing, momentum's downward, but we do have that big candlestick today. It gapped up in the morning from this closing price. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what occurs there. BTC down about 2%. Momentum's heading lower in the short term. And then Ethereum's also heading a little bit lower. That is a bearish setup where we could head lower out of this. It's an inverted flag pattern. So that does look a little bit more bearish than some of the other ones. But that's what I've got for today, guys. Thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website. We do have that midweek update that has been released. It's up there. You can view it. And then we've got a Saturday question and answer session coming up at 7 a.m. Mountain Time. And you guys can ask me whatever you want. So I'll see you there if you're part of the community. And if you're not, we'll see you tomorrow during our next video. All right, guys. Catch you later.